Live to the world. Let me let a few people in here. Lynn, welcome. My good friend, Lynn Whitback. Thank you so much for joining us. We get you for the first 30 minutes here, and so grateful to have you. Hey, welcome, Vicky. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Well, you've arrived on a good day. To our friends that are watching this on the social, you're watching a live stream, come join us in Zoom because in Zoom, this is a good day. This is a really good day because here among friends, we would love to get to know who you are, what you do. We've been talking about my stuff a lot and then like laying on a lot of foundation. Now is the time we're really going to start looking at making sure that we are activating this. Again, learning for me, that's all well and good. Reading a book, that's all well and good. Watching YouTubes, listening to podcasts, cool. That's learned knowledge. But that is a fraction of the value that we get when we implement, when we do the thing and we're tested on it. All right. And so today is part of that test. And so we got Janet, welcome. I see you. Hey, Robert, good to have you as well. Go ahead and pop on video as soon as you're able. And that will allow me to spend a little bit of time kind of celebrating you and your work. So a couple of things I want to do. Is that if you haven't watched, first off, if you stumbled upon this video, this is number 3. And today's not going to make any sense unless you've watched episode 1 and 2, right? Of this 4 video series, free training that we're doing on how to get yourself 100% inbound with your dream ideal customers week after week after week after week. So some of the big things that we talked about, very, very simply, just to recap here, is number 1, you have to change. If you were taught and you bought into the always be selling, always be moving people through marketing systems and funnels and just sliding into DMs and going right for that sales jugular, and your bad sales, bad breath is just getting all over everybody, it's not working. It's not working. If it did work years ago, it doesn't work today because audiences don't want to have it. You don't like it. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. Just stop with the spam. Stop with the scripted DMs. It's just not working in 2023. And I went through all of the evidence as to why that's not the case today. So what do we do instead? We have to build authentic relationships. We have to show up in positive ways with great people. People want to know the real you. And so part of kind of what we've done historically is talked about how to convey, being the real you to people that are checking you out. And so we talked about authority. So number 1 was you got to start with that generous heart. That was number 1. Number 2 is your authority. Your authority is what we're going to kind of talk about today, right? And your authority is how can I, so people want to figure you out really quickly because they need to get on with their busy day. But if there's an opportunity to engage, they come across your content. Well, there's a very logical next step, and that is they're going to check you out. And so what are they going to find? It's pretty important that we get that figured out. And then finally, we had talked about number 3, and that's the power of platform. And we talked about how platform can instantly give you an authority bump. And again, when you have high authority in your industry, life is easier. You come across as more competent, more popular. And again, these things sound superficial. They are, but it's how we make these judgments on who we engage with. And so if you want me to hire you, I'm going to look at these things. I suspect if you want Lynn to hire you, Lynn's going to look at a few things. She's like, well, I've hired people before. I've paid for a lot of things. I engage. And so there's just a litmus test that we all have. And so we just need to make sure you pass that litmus test. All right. So those are the 3 principles. Again, go watch videos 1 and 2 if you haven't already, because in video 3, and this one might be a little, we'll see if I take the whole time, because my prepared materials are very, very short. Lynn, before we kind of get into the interactive portion of our session, and again, if you want to join us, very, very simple in Zoom, all you have to do is go to upmyinfluence.com/free class, all one word. And then you'll get the top secret Zoom link and you can join in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the opportunity to talk about who you are, what you do. We're going to take a look at your website. We're going to take a look at your LinkedIn. We're going to take a look at some other things that people might want to look at. And we're all friends here. And I'm going to advertise you for free. And I have a social media audience. It's all right. It's a pretty good audience. And it's not so much about the number of people. It's about the quality of people. The people that I generally communicate with, same as my podcast audience. They're business adults. They are folks that are pretty serious about their business. They are networkers. They are collaborators. They're successful in business, and they like doing business with like-minded people. So this could be a really great opportunity for you. Just saying. So pop on video. There's a lot of people I still see that are not yet on video. We'll let you pop in as soon as you can. Robert, good to see you as well. High upon floating in orbit somewhere.
I'm in Colorado in orbit.
Yes, pretty close. I think, in fact, that's the closest you can get by still keeping it was it Casey Kasem that said, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. There we go.
Well, the next time you're in Colorado Springs, I insist that you call and I will find a decent meal for you.
I love it. I love the sound of that. Everybody loves a decent meal. All right. Hey, Lynn, before we kind of get into, and Vicky, would you have, do me a favor, in the chat window, would you be willing to share a link to your website? And similarly, anybody else that's joining us, go ahead and put a link to your website. I'm going to be, Kimberly and I are going to kind of be pulling that up, and I'm going to get ready to share my screen so that we can all learn. And I want to deliver just a ton of value to you live in real time. So I normally do this work. And I've been doing what I've been doing for quite enough time that I normally get paid okay for this type of thing. So that's the kind of value I want to provide completely pro bono to anyone who's willing to share kind of who they are and what they do in this environment. But Lynn, before we do that, and Vicky, if you could share that, Robert, if you could do that in the chat window, I'd love to pull that up. Lynn, we'll take a look at your stuff. I'll tell you what, we'll start with you, Lynn, if that's okay. But any thoughts before we kind of start pulling up your content?
I think the most important thing is that when people hit on your page, they can figure out in 3 to 4 seconds what you do, who you serve, and then you can take it from there. And so that's the number one thing, so that people sort of feel like, yeah, I'm in the right place, or meh.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this is all part of the buying journey. And Lynn, you've done a lot of consulting, not just with, individual SMBs and individual solopreneurs and so forth, but you've done a lot of corporate sales training as well. And what are those things? We've talked generally about the buying journey, but I would imagine that's a pretty important topic in enterprise level sales as well.
Yeah, I mean, the client experience and the experience that you're delivering to your client is always very important. You want to give that delightful experience, and mapping that journey and everything that touches the client, because clients can get turned off. You could literally lose a client because the accounting department ticks them off,
Mm-hmm.
and they're done that. You can have a client who has a bad experience with somebody in your shipping department, or a VA, whatever it happens to be. Mapping that client journey allows you to see areas of friction, gaps, and also what you're doing really great and what you can then replicate. So the client journey is really important to look at the activities from that initial spark in the lanes that the client is going through from their perspective, the relationship, your perspective from the sales journey, and really analyzing that, and then what other influences are happening. Yeah. Josh has been talking a lot about influence, and that authority, that's influence. That influences the perception of your clients or your prospects. And that is a number one thing to get them to come to your website and to take a look. And so then leveraging that social proof, and you'll see that on our website, you've got it right above the fold, is really important. But then as people go down, you have to remember there are different personality codes. Some people like that quick hit, they're high action, they're a catalyst. They want to get it and get it done. Other people need more time. They're very knowledge based. They're experts. They want to really dig in and find the information that they're looking for. So you want to appeal to the different types of personality codes of your audience as well when you're building out your pages.
Yeah, excellent. And Lynn, I think we've all had that experience where, Robert, I don't know if you've ever been into a dentist office or going to an office, and if the receptionist kind of treats you coldly, but yet, you've got the dentist who's, they've put it all on the line. This is their life savings that they've invested into starting their own practice, and they're trying to grow their business. And, if you've got a front person who, they're a representative and an ambassador. And matter of fact, there's one doctor's office I can think of in particular. I like the doctor's fantastic, but it was just that receptionist was so rude with me. And so it's man, that's a bummer. So anyway, think about, what your buying journey is and what people might be looking at. And by the way, I'll just say too, I don't think that there's a thing as perfect. I don't think there's such a thing as perfection. You can look at my stuff and you'll probably come up with dozens of things. By the way, I hope you'll tell me of what you like and don't like, right? But here, we're all friends. So this is a safe space here. All right. So on that note, let me share my screen and let me actually pull up a couple of websites. Thank you so much, by the way. Here's a couple of things I'm going to be looking for. Is that I'm going to start by, so I do about 6 to 10 podcast interviews every single week. And I'm going to just show you exactly what I do when I have a guest that's popping into my world, when I want to figure them out as quickly as possible. So the media is doing this, influencers are doing this, customers are doing this, JV partners are doing this. Everybody is doing this exact same thing that I am sharing with you in their own way. Some folks are going to be interested in different things than others, but this is what I would do. All right. So now, Lynn, and again, thank you very much for being a brave soul. What is the first thing? I think I may have clicked down here. Oh, okay. I'm going to show you a couple of details of things that, by the way, everyone, you're going to get a list of things to do today, because I'm going to point out and discover things that I guarantee if you go through my website and my stuff, you're going to point out things and I'm going to go, oh, and I'm going to I have to go and fix that stuff. Okay. So Lynn, one of the first things that I love to do is I love to pull up someone's LinkedIn. We talked about why it's such a valuable tool. And all of these links look good to me, except for the one that I clicked on for some reason. And that was LinkedIn, which again, I know, Lynn, you and I are connected on LinkedIn. So I'm just going to go ahead. That link wasn't correct. It went to maybe an old version of it. Why am I searching for it? Let me search for Lynn. There we go. My good friend, first level connection, the queen of sales. Okay, I'm going to get into that in just a second. I want to point out a couple of things that are so common to miss. Okay, so everybody pull up your own website. And what I want you, by the way, this is all very, very good. Let's see here. I want you to scroll down to the very bottom. And this right here is something that one of the very first things I notice. This is a small detail. First off, make sure all your links are correct down here. Go and beta test all of your links in your menu. Please give yourself a to-do list today. Go click on all the links. When I look at websites for guests, there's a couple of things that I see very frequently. Broken links, I see in the menus or in the footers. I see that very, very commonly. And I'll tell them afterwards, sometimes if I remember, if I ever find those, because I'm just clicking around trying to figure them out, right? And so another thing would be, broken social links. That's very common. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I see this will make you laugh. I find so many links to Google Plus, which died like 5 years ago. And those Google Plus icons are still on people's webpage, or it's just like a Google icon. You can link it to your Google My Business or your Google Business profile. That would be great. But for whatever reason, it's like linked to an old social media platform that hasn't existed in over 5 years. Go fix that. All right. So here's another thing that I see pretty frequently. Lynn, yours is good. Your copyright date. Please change that. Or a lot of times, if you're using WordPress as a WordPress theme, it'll always just keep it the current date. I often will see copyright 2019. And so what that communicates is that, again, this is a website that hasn't been updated in a long time. It's a small thing, but that's absolutely an indicator. All right. So now I'm going to go kind of top to bottom really quick. Lynn, thank you so much, by the way. Lynn's website, if you want to follow along, is just petite, the number 2, queen.com. Oh, let me also do this. Here's another thing that this happens pretty frequently. Here's a to-do list, right? Contact your host. I want you to test every version of possibly typing in your name. So what I want you to do is I'm going to try and break Lynn's website here by trying a couple of things that clients might do. Their browser, or how they're clicking to it, or how they got there, it might be without the HTTPS. It might just be, for some reason, they might get a link that's http://petite to queen, and Lynn's resolves correctly. So you're good there. That's one. And then there's another thing I see pretty frequently. Oftentimes it's the other way around, but sometimes people will put in a www.petitetoqueen.com and Lynn's resolves correctly. So Lynn, rock on. Your host, your web host is looking out for you. I find errors with that all the time. So let's see. I got a couple of other ones I pull up. Let's see. Like, for example, this one right here, resolves correctly to the www. That's fantastic. So I'm not going to test everybody's, but that's one thing. Please, if you're watching and following along, you're not on the Zoom with us, this is your homework. And by the way, to my team members that are on here keeping track of homework, I will send you the email of your homework assignments if you haven't gotten that done, or I'm sorry, if you're participating in our 4-week class here. Okay. So I'm not going to obsess on the branding side of things because I could really go down a rabbit hole on that. I will share just a couple of thoughts and ideas. Again, I'm not a branding expert. I'm mainly a first impressions authority kind of expert. But one thing I would point out, Lynn, is that this woman in the middle here, she kind of she's not smiling for me. And again, I would just simply ask if she'd be willing to. If she's not willing, it's up to her. It's up to you guys. But I see everybody smiling, and she's a little bit more stern, and she's the center focal point. So I would put, I would maybe address that. And then, you're definitely the rock star of the show here, and you have an amazing team. And by the way, I've had the opportunity to work with your team, and Lynn, your team is amazing. You know what I would love, because you've got everybody on here, this is clearly kind of photoshopped together of everybody's headshots. When it's possible someday, if it is, to do, a group photo or something like that might be on the radar. But also too, I kind of like to think of you. I love hero shots. I'm a big fan. You guys are all rocking this. And one thing I love to see is, yes, I love hero shots. And what I'd love for you to do is I would love for you to go ahead and just put your name there. Just make it brain dead easy for anybody that's there. Now, in addition to your name, you might also use this as some sort of, you get like one hit on this, like some authority indicator. Like I'll see a lot of this where, and again, don't judge me. But do what I say, not what I do, because I'm okay. So, but I didn't do what I just said. You might I would say critiquing my own website, I should probably put my own name right. Now, I will tell you, I already, Fabi Paolini is already redesigning my website, and that will absolutely be a part of the work that she does. If you want to see a really great example, I'm going to do a quick shout out for Fabi, because I think she does fantastic work. Just anybody else who's watching this, if you want to know examples of websites that convert exceptionally well, hopefully you can see my screen right now. These, if you are a coach, consultant, agency, anything where your personal brand is in any way part of your service or how you help people, these type of websites convert very, very well. You don't have to hire Fabi. You can do it yourself. You can find a theme, but you see what I'm talking about? Big hero shots. These types of websites generally convert exceptionally well. I'll share Fabi's website or Kimberly, if you could do that, maybe share Fabi's website if you have, I'll do it. Hang on a second. Because I want to share, just if nothing else, just for inspiration, but this tends to work out pretty well. Okay, so let me go back to chat. Let me put that, chat, where's my chat window here? Let me just so if you want some inspiration, I think Fabi does pretty good work there. Okay, so moving on. I like names. Okay. Really, I love this right here. So right now, Lynn, you've got a couple of what I would call, so there's number 2 and there's number 3. Okay, this is authority through association. So as seen on. Now, Lynn, in your case, you've got 3 different blocks of logos. I totally get, this is powerful. And I would probably, because of the strength of the brands that you have associations with, I would really probably move that up. And I would probably move these ones down, because this right here, I think we need to explain exactly what this means. Lynn is a media personality. Now, Lynn has her own platform. So that's why we have 3 different logo blocks here. I happen to know this about Lynn. So Lynn has been quoted in all of these media outlets. So I think what I'd like to do is kind of organize this a little bit. I think that this is just such massive industry authority for you, Lynn, that I would probably bump that one up to the top. Okay, so here's what I was talking about, authority through association. Anybody ever hear of Starbucks or Microsoft or Boeing or Costco or Philips, right? We've heard of these companies. Do we have an opinion of these companies as being no names, or are these kind of strong brands? Okay, so you're getting authority through association. And so people are going to, so if I see some communication from Lynn, or I see content from Lynn, or I come across her program or TV show, right? Instantly, if I go, and I would probably love to see those logos, maybe in white along the bottom, don't do full color here, maybe on the side or something like that. But I'd say, or even right below the photo. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on conversion optimization stuff. Lynn, you're awesome. And thank you so much for kind of doing this. But I just want to point out a few things, and then we're going to kind of move on to a couple of other ones. But this is fantastic. I love testimonial videos. You're clearly you're really, really great at, and I think you have more too. So for someone who's really interested in this, by the way, people care more about what people have to say about you than they care what you have to say about you. You should jot that down. And you should think about, how am I showing up? And by the way, Lynn, you have a very good website, which I hope you don't mind me kind of picking on you here a little bit, but these are all just ideas of things that we can all learn from each other. And then these media logos, again, authority through association, USA Today, Chicago Trib, HuffPo, like these are awesome. Like, I think that this one might be there, if you have industry logos as well. So like industry news logos that might be a little bit directed. So people will say, okay, yeah, popular media, cool. Oh, wow, that's a legit like industry authority. And again, this is authority through association. So I would, Lynn, just getting back to this, and I'm going to move on to some other folks here. I would explain what this means, because you've got as seen on here, and then you've got another as seen on. So I would say, I am a media personality, and I would create a block that talks about you as your own media entity. That's social proof. That is like what we were talking about before, when it's like, we were talking about like, if you ever get a press badge, people treat you different. When you leverage, and what Lynn is doing here, and I think there's so much potential here, Lynn, is you are leveraging platform here. Again, platform is one of those ways you can instantly increase your visibility. So let's think about this for a second. So if we learn that Lynn has a platform and she's got a freaking TV show, all of a sudden, those of us who maybe would like to be associated or talked about on a TV show might, and we might be more, just a little bit more interested in leaning forward. Lynn, wonderful. Thank you so much. Hopefully you got some good ideas in that. And I know you need to skedaddle because you have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour. But Lynn, thank you so much for being our first volunteer. I appreciate you so much. And again, you can connect with Lynn at petite2queen.com. Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm going to, rather than, oh, by the way, Lynn, while Lynn skedaddles here, I'm just going to point out really quick her LinkedIn, pretty dialed in as well. I'm going to give you some LinkedIn hacks in a second, but out of fairness, let me pull up a couple of other folks and we can kind of go from there. Okay. Robert, again, love it. Photo for me is a little out of focus, and it could be because it's blown up a little bit, but otherwise good. I love the smile. It's very approachable. I love that we're looking right into your eyes. This is an attention getter for sure. That is going to pull my eye. That title, it evokes curiosity. And so I'm a big fan of not trying to say too much, and we honor the relationships based on where they are. This, holy cow, is this authority. You've got quotes from Rupert Murdoch, John Denver, Viking Insurance. Like, these are some heavy hitters. Okay, here's what I would love for you to do. I would love to go find, anytime you have, and again, this is great stuff for all of us. Social proof. If you are going to put a testimonial on your page, include a headshot. It will increase the likelihood of it getting read, consumed, and it actually having an impact, a positive impact in your business by orders of magnitude. Testimonials. People look, here's the raw truth, right? People look for two types of folks. They look for attractive members of the opposite gender, but mostly women, male, female. That's a reality. And then they look for people that are kind of like them. And so then what they want to do is read, just skim it if possible. So you want to sometimes kind of really cut down on, what you include in there, but people will absolutely read and look into your testimonies. Oh, we lost Robert. Robert's still with us? Okay. And let me start. I got to pay for, Robert. Oh, okay.
Robert had to leave too.
Okay. Another one of those bottom of the hours. Okay. So just really quick here, let me kind of finish up. If I, here's the other websites. Kimberly, will you help me stay on track with the right? Oh, we got Business Wing Woman. Thank you, Vicki. I got your website. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Okay, Janet, Sonia, I've got yours as well, ready to roll. So we're going to pull yours up. And Yeah, let me just kind of finish up really quick on Robert, and then we're going to move on to a couple of other ones. And by the way, you can pull up Robert, whoops, not that one. You would pull up the Robert, his website is therobertwhite.com. All right. This is a little cluttered. Like I would probably clean this up. This is a lot of text. Bullet points are good. Don't center justify more than a single sentence generally. So usually you want to left justify this, use bullet points, break it down. People basically like our ability to read long form text like this. We just don't have a lot of patience. These are really good. Again, headshot along with that. And again, Robert can update his copyright there. Okay, Janet Rich Pittman. Hey, Janet's in the room. All right. So again, love this photo. Now, for me, formatting wise, and you're probably just noticing, it's not supposed to look like that. It could be just because of, okay. Do you see what's going on here? Again, I don't know if it's kind of messing. That looks good. So you want to pull up your website in lots of different sizes as well and see what's going on. In this case, Janet, for some reason, here's, I would see if there's a way that maybe you can cut out some of the head space here and make sure, tell your web developer that it stays put. Like responsive is great. We want responsive because most people are going to be pulling up your website mobile. So however, for people like me looking at it on a big browser or whatever, for some reason, your head is down at the bottom. So also, this is a little long for me, in my opinion. I would break this up into 2 paragraphs, or I'd find a way just to condense this down. Also, like this is good, but I feel like, and your logo is good, but I would find a way this is eating up a lot of real estate. In a way that as a user, I'm a little confused with. So like this would be appropriate. Your logo's cool up at the top, then hero shot, and then like your credentials would be awesome, maybe like at the bottom or around the bottom. And then I would probably want like media, some authority indicator, media logos, clients that you work with, something like that. Again, a couple of things. Again, forgive me if I'm being too picky. I am. But you also want to pay attention to contrast. Dark violet on light violet is a little hard for the eye to, it doesn't really pull me in. And so also the dark text on this background, I would probably just skip all this. And because it's just, again, lazy reader is just going to kind of move through this really quick. Also, I'd say organization wise, I would try to find a way to kind of maybe freshen this up from a, like this. Now I feel like this is a lot of just data that's just coming at me. Like I love that there's these books that somehow I see. So now you're talking about somebody else's work. I don't know, it's up to you, but you might want to, like, I'm coming here because I like you. And it's really important, like for me, like I want to connect with Janet. And so this is clearly, this is great. I mean, this is a lot of like, okay, I understand the methodology and who you're associated with. But okay, conversion is almost always a human to human opportunity, right? And so we want to think about, and is this, by the way, and please in the chat window, can you comment along with me? So I'm not the only one coming up with ideas, because I'm just one person. And as we all know, we all have our biases. And so I might not be Janet's ideal customer. So you can take a lot of what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm trying to be objective on just general principles, but I'm only one voice, right? And so I welcome and invite lots of other feedback as we're kind of looking at everything. All right. So getting back here, by the way, Janet, thank you so much. You're being a really, really great sport here. Okay. again, this is really tiny text here for me. And you don't need a button for privacy policies. This is stuff like that. Just double check your links here. Those look like they're really good. We've got a video here. I want to see that video like up here. Like I would put the video right here. And the fact that you're looking to my right, I would keep this video on the left side. So another layout thing is usually you want faces looking toward the middle of the page. Otherwise, when they're off to the side, they're looking off the window. It just, the eyes kind of follow. Like my eyes right now are following Janet's, and Janet is actually looking at this title, which is great. That's exactly what should be happening. So if you want, you might consider moving that video up here. Okay, great. All right, so now we are on to, and this is, whose website is this? First name, Sonia, is this your website?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. So Sonia, did I say Sonia or Sonia?
Sonia.
Sonia. Okay, good. All right. So Sonia's website is ascribesuccess.com. Sonia, can I ask you just to have you tell us, I'm going to do this for the rest. I apologize to Janet and everybody else. I didn't really ask you to kind of invite us into your world. Sonia, could you tell us just briefly what you do, and then we'll kind of use that as we kind of go through this really quickly.
I am an equity broker, and I help organizations curate safe space to have courageous conversations about race and diversity in the workplace, so that we can have a better future for the next generation.
Okay. I love it. You're producing a lot of good content. Your logo for me is, it starts to get a little small for me to wonder, like I'm kind of wondering what's, there's probably some meaning here. I'm wondering if it's possible to maybe a variation of the logo, to have Ascribe Success, and then the imagery to the right. You might consider playing around. Just the word success is really tiny for me. And I just want to, this is kind of part of your professional brand. And I just want to make sure that doesn't get missed. Are these photos from you doing your work? Or are these stock photography?
Some of them are, but some of them are stock photos as well.
Okay. Here would be a goal for 2023 for all of us. Try over the course of your work, when and how you can, to come up and here's my goal: rid the world of stock photography. Now, yours are actually really good, Sonia. I have seen so much bad stock photography when I'm pulling up websites of companies, and it's like the typical like boardroom. Everyone's like giving each other high five. It's awful. Financial planners, old white couple walking down the beach barefoot. It's the same tropey photos that are used everywhere. You start to recognize a lot of the models that you'll see over and over and over again in stock photography. And again, what I love about Sonia, which is on brand for you too, is your photography is diverse, which is really important for what you do. We need representation to make sure that we're representing it everywhere. By the way, on that note, one thing I recommend, there's several good books I've learned in my time as a leader. I'd recommend one that comes particularly to mind is The Business of Belonging, which is about creating community with your clients and, with what you're doing. And one chapter, he talks about diversity. Sonia, I'd actually love your take on this, because if you could maybe just share a minute or two on this really quickly. What I can say about diversity is start at the beginning. Get it like, please go through your website, go through all of your social media. It might be that you just started your company and you're all kind of the same demographic. It just happens that way some way. However, for you to attract in a team members, clients, audience, readers, subscribers that match the general the population that you want to serve, which is a diverse population on the planet, you have to make efforts to get to bring in diversity and talent, and also bring in diversity and make sure that that diversity is reflected in everything you do. Content. I'm not the expert on this. Sonia, we happen to have an expert in the room. Would you just share? This is such a critical thing, because here's the reality. I'll just say this last thing and then I'll turn it to you. What I know is that if I go to your website and it is all, it's kind of monotone, like it's very homogenous, I start to feel, especially, and I don't have the background as a POC, but if I did, and then I go to your website and it's all white dudes, I'm going to feel like, oh, and it might be just completely subconsciously, but I'm going to feel like I'm not sure I'm in the right room. That's going to be my nature. Sonia, you're the expert on that. Please,
absolutely.
Yes. Share some thoughts on this.
I would say that everyone needs to really and truly be intentional about your global footprint. And so everything you leave behind on the web is traceable. And people remember. I always go back to Maya Angelou's saying of, people won't necessarily remember what you did or what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And so imagery is filling. And so if people don't feel like they belong, they don't want to be there. They're not going to tune in. They're not going to be focused. They're not going to be engaged in the content. Content might be, your service might be the best service, out there, but you want to make sure that you are being as inclusive as possible. Diversity is just the tip of the iceberg. You want to go deeper than that.
Yeah. Sonia, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let me just kind of finish up on your website and completely agree with that. Again, think of where you're going. If you want a big company, that means you're serving a broader population.
Yeah. Start
earlier. And sometimes you're going to have to look for opportunities. You're going to have to work a little bit harder if it's, again, just from my experience. And I got to tell you, when there is that match, and when you've got diversity of opinions, not just in your branding and your content, but how you run the company, you better match populations that you should serve, that you get to serve. So anyway, this is my final thoughts on that. Okay. So occasionally I'm seeing, again, issues with font size. Here's another one when we're thinking about folks that, get into their mid 40s on up. Who knows what I'm talking about? And I would just say, or, folks that are genuinely, have visual concerns from just keep that in mind. And in fact, and I'm not an expert on this. I know that there are some really good tests that you can run on your website to make sure that they are more accessible, but you can look into that as well. Sometimes I would say, with a solid Black background, you can keep that consistent throughout. I like this color light orange as well, but some of this doesn't pop for me. It's a little hard to read. Also, when you have like all of these logos and now we have white squares on Black background, you could consider, if you want, either going through all of these logos and removing all the white, but you're going to have to make sure that they do stand out. So you could change these all to a very, very light, like a grayscale, or very white, and then you could have them kind of stand out on the Black background. Or you might consider like putting this in a bordered area where it does have a background that matches the background of each of these logos. But all the squares, it ends up feeling a little busy and noisy for me. Now, I love that you've got content here, and I would just dumb it down for me. What's going on? And so a lot of times on our own websites, we can't read the label from inside the bottle. And so one thing that I would recommend is that, have someone who's never been through your website run through it and saying, where do you get confused? And so I would just throw a title on here and talk about, your impact in the world, and you're a sought after speaker, you're a sought after spokesperson for this. And now I look at this, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. But yeah, I mean, clearly you're being interviewed in different venues. So just kind of connect the dot for me a little bit about what this is. But otherwise, all very, very good. Outdated copyright, but again. Oh, also subscribe. Let's keep in touch. This doesn't mean, here, this is good. I'm so glad we're talking about this. Subscribe to my newsletter means nothing. Right. You will have 0.00001% opt-in rate generally on a call to action that is just subscribe to my newsletter. Try to deliver some sort of download my free checklist and then just mention, and I'll just keep you updated from time to time on other things that might be super valuable for you. But that's like matter of fact, you could include a checkbox that says, yeah, also keep me updated from time to time, but don't make that the call to action. No one wants your newsletter. Usually, what they do want is value from you. What they do want is help. If you can solve problems for them and you'll send that to my email, cool, especially if it's a valuable resource. So that's another thing I would probably remove, is if you have a call to action on your website that says subscribe to my newsletter, just change it, remove it, change it to some sort of an opt-in where you can immediately give them something crazy valuable, delivered immediately to them. And then in that first email, let them know how you'll be communicating, and that anytime they want, you can always unsubscribe at the very bottom and never be added to any other list. So that just kind of ethically matches with everyone. Really good stuff. Thank you so much, Sonia, for both sharing your website and then also, you have another website too, Equity with Sonia? Yeah. Oh, I like this website. Oh, I got to show. Well, I can't just look at it by myself. I got to do share screen. This is all very, very good. And again, I would go ahead and start branding yourself as a media celebrity, basically, and just own it. It's like I used to say, we all want to be our own, inner Oprah. Has Oprah ever been on the cover of her own magazine? Oprah is never not on the cover of her own magazine. She owns her brand. So I love this because now we're really getting to know you personally. This is fantastic. This is like when you're out doing media and stuff like that. This is absolutely this is really, really well done. And then again, I would just go ahead and create like a direct offer. Great photography. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And then I know you shared 2 websites. So I was kind of beating up on the first one, but I absolutely love this. This is a little difficult to read. I would find a way to increase the contrast on your logo because your logo is pretty important. And then we always have these little hamburger menus here. Okay, let's move on to a couple of other ones. Fabi already shared. Business Wing Woman. I think this is going to be, I'll check the chat. Is there, Kimberly, do we have any others in the, let's see.
No, that's Vicky.
This is the last one. Okay.
We've done Sonia and Janet, and this is Vicky's.
All right, I love it. I love it. Okay, so mybusinesswingwoman.co. And by the way, is .com's taken, I assume, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's confusing. You might, here's my opinion on this as a media person. People are always gonna, I'm sure someone's typing in that .com. I hope it's not a bad website. I hope it's a great,
they don't use it.
I hope it's just not available or something like that. It's not, you don't get brand confusion. You might, I know it's your brand and everything like that, but that .com is so, sometimes you can get with the something .io, and that people will play around with it, but that .com, when you can get it, is always pretty good. By the way, there's a really good website. I don't think I'm going to remember it. I'm not. I'll see if I can come up with it. There's a website where you can search basically your brand, and it'll search across 100 different social media platforms and domains and all that other stuff. And it'll give you a full report along with direct links so you could go reserve your name. Man, it's a good website too. Don't let me forget that. I'll share that in the, if you're on the email, I'll share that. Again, if you're not, if you don't get my weekly, it's just one email just for this free class. And that email is, I'll include all the notes and links and resources that I shared on here. Okay. So great photo, and definitely like on brand. I get what's going on here. Okay, so I like this. It's sophistication. Again, you're busy, you're at work, you're being the wing woman. I love it. The olive to your martini, the wind beneath your wings, the one who can handle the nitty gritty. You know what I would do? I don't want to, again, I don't want to get into outside of my zone here, but this is it's good copy, but it kind of gets lost in a super long sentence for me. I think I would love to see it kind of broken out. The olive to your martini, the wind beneath your wings, the one, and then this one a little bit smaller or something like that. The one that can handle the nitty gritty details. And I would bold nitty gritty details perhaps, or handle would be another one. And by the way, bolding, underlining, and italics, also very important. Be very sparing with what you emphasize. And that's what the eye is going to be drawn to. So, but I love, if we know who our audience is, I love communicating directly to them. Again, in your case, I like that your branding kind of, again, it hits that, listen, you've achieved some success in business. Congratulations. Now it's time to have you've reached the time in your business where it's appropriate for you to have a business wing woman. So all very, very good. This is a little bit too much copy for me. And because of the background, most people are just going to skip over this. Because there's like you could put this in a block or find some way to increase the contrast, put a background behind this somehow. I don't, just kind of play around with that. Okay. Also, this is a lot of copy here as well. So you might consider, again, bullet points, bolding, break it up somehow, or find a way to condense. Oftentimes and I'll speak for myself too, because I'm sure I violate some of these rules myself. Again, do what I say, not what I do. But best practice is that, or what's very common. I've had I recently had an expert on there, and his whole is like, when it comes to copy, we always say way too much. You should only be saying enough to evoke curiosity to take the next step. And so someone could always click on read more. And so what's the least that you could get away with telling them? Build up only enough curiosity so you don't answer all their questions, but enough so that they want to, I want to learn more. And so, and then you've got a link to LinkedIn here. Thank you. You passed the test. Thank you for having that open in a new tab. Because what would happen, by the way, if, there's this prominent link to LinkedIn, and all of a sudden we lose the tab that Vicky's website was in. And all of a sudden we're looking at our notifications and our messages, and oh boy, we got friend requests and all that other stuff. And we get distracted. We start reading an article or something like that. We're just lost. So yeah, links to social media should always open in a new tab. Put some headshots here. These are really, okay, this right here is cool, but it's probably not going to do what you want it to do. You could have made these up. I mean, we have no evidence that this was actually said by a person. I believe it because I know your work. But I would, if you can get a first name, a headshot for these people, that's going to work. And by the way, I am a huge fan of testimonial videos when we can get it. So on my main product page that I send to people, the number one thing that I lead them to is I actually very intentionally say, yeah, you can read all this if you want to or whatever. But what I really want you to watch is I want you to watch my video with Jerry or Lynn. You can watch a video with Lynn. Look at that. And here's what I do. And I love this from a sales perspective is one of our greatest goals at the beginning, I think, is get clients successful and document that. when they have a success story, that is gold to you. Lynn, I know in the enterprise sales world, man, again, we could say anything about our own product and service, but that's cool. What are my peers saying about you? Because if Norwegian says that about you, then okay, well, they trust you. They have nice things to say about you. They're our peer in the cruise industry, or even bigger than us. If they love you, then naturally we're going to like you. So all really, really good stuff. But I am such a huge fan. Here's another thing. Think about how you can incorporate. I'm biased on this, but I love short video. 3 minutes long here. This one might be a little longer because it's an explainer video. Probably not. I don't think there's any videos on this page that are more than 10 minutes. I could be wrong on that, but I try to have lots of short little videos. I've got an FAQ page down here, and I've got some of them. I've got videos that answer their questions. But okay, this is really important. Oh, we're almost done. Your audience learns in lots of different ways. Some people want audio. I want audio. If you can give me an episode of a podcast to listen to, I'm going to listen to it if I'm serious about working with you. If you've been interviewed on another podcast, brilliant. I love it, because now someone's asking you the questions I probably want to ask you. I don't need to take your time up. I can do my own research. Most people today want to do their own research. They want to do some sort of due diligence on you. So so just again, really great job overall, Vicki, on your website too. With just some things right here. And again, get in touch. So I would. This is a call to action, and we want to be fairly limited on our calls to action. Most of the time, you want to limit it to about 2 to 3. So do you have to have the link to LinkedIn there? Or maybe if you're like, no, if I really only want them to do one thing, what's my big, bold, one single call to action? Lead to that. And maybe there's a secondary thing. Lynn, you've got a media brand. Hey, go watch my TV show. But again, we don't want to distract too much from our primary call to action, which should be opt in, grab my free thing, engage with me. You probably came here because you heard about this free training. Click here. You can watch the free training right now. Whatever that primary call to action is, that's what we generally want to lead with. Okay, that was a lot of value. Hopefully, listen, give me a like, give me a comment if you came up with some things to do. Please, that will let me know that you appreciate this content. It will make me feel good about myself, which, hey, that's so I will take that as currency. You don't have to pay me anything, but a like, thumbs up, comment, share, I will take that all day long. All right.
Josh, can you review really, really quick? Can you review the homework for everyone?
No, I don't know all the things. So we'll have to go through. I don't remember all this stuff. I had a lot of homework in this one. Are you kidding? No, I don't know. So you have to go back. Make sure you've opted in. We'll send it to you. I'm going to have someone on my team go through the transcript, and they'll come up with all of the times that Josh said, do this, right? Because there was a lot of stuff. It's a list. And there was probably between 20, 25 things. Great question, Kimberly. I don't have the ability to do it. I've since forgotten.
Okay.
But join the Facebook group. We'll have it there. Make sure you're opted in. We'll email it to you. Facebook group, really simple. Just go to Facebook, search Up My Influence, all one word. Ignore the page. Go to the group. And in the group, I'll have an archive of this video here. If you're like, whoa, guy went way too fast when he started talking about XYZ. That happens. I will have a recording there where you can watch, and you can rewind and watch me say it as many times as you want. All right. Vicki, Lynn, everybody else, Sonia, Janet, thank you so much. Robert, thank you so much for being and participating and sharing your websites and allowing me to go through that. Hopefully this is super valuable. Next week is our last time together. We're going to talk about plans for the year and what are we actually going to get done. Again, it's going to be very actionable next week. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Go do awesome stuff in the world. We'll see you next